In the land of the free, it is one of the most important freedoms we have. The ability to say what we believe.
You don't bring it into the classroom, where are you going to learn to do it?
But what is considered free speech can be a complicated issue.
And do it in a way that is kind and judgment-free to a degree.
This week, we explore the line between what's protected and what isn't. This is The Race. Bookshelves have become a pretty polarizing place in certain parts of the country, with a rise in efforts to remove or restrict certain titles and themes. Also a rise in opinions over who should control what books are available to you or your child when you go to a library.
My whole belief about the purpose of the public library is this is a place where you investigate the world.
Jamie LaRue is one of 3 library workers I reached out to talk about book bans. For nearly 25 years, he was the head of a public library system outside Denver.
I got 250 challenges, and by challenge I mean an attempt to remove or restrict access to some library resource.
I also reached out to Brooke Stevens. She's with Utah Parents United, a group that is in favor of books which she considers sexually explicit to be banned from public school libraries.
That's where our kids can check out books without our knowledge. They go in there, they can read it.
The American Library Association says last year there were a record number of attempts to ban or restrict access to books at libraries. According to PEN America, a group that fights book bans, books written by or about members of the LGBTQ community and people of color are challenged the most.
In the recent years, say the last 15 to 20 years, we have begun to see new voices, people of color, LGBTQ. And as those voices start to rise, our society starts to change.
Introducing Teddy was one of the major banned books.
David Fassman, an archivist at the University of Denver, helped put together an exhibit of banned books in the school's library.
You're seeing cases immediately jump from there's a book on a shelf to we're going to stop this in the state, instead of it just being there's a book on the shelf, let's talk to the librarians. What can we do about this?
A growing number of states have passed laws that limit topics like sex and race being taught in school. Anti-censorship advocates say those laws make it easier for books to be banned. Last year, Utah's conservative state legislature passed a bill that banned books the state considers pornography. Critics of the law say many of the books that have been banned offer important perspectives. For example, take the book All Boys Aren't Blue. PEN America says it is one of the most banned in the country. Supporters describe it as a story of growing up black and queer and feeling different.
My friend sent me the book All Boys Aren't Blue, and I was pretty shocked about 2 11-year-old boy cousins, their sexual encounters or adventures or whatever you may call it. And that's where I said, oh, I had no idea this was in schools and other parents need to know.
Brooke Stevens runs a website that encourages parents in Utah to challenge books in public school libraries. The site has a list of more than 400 books that are rated for what she considers sexually explicit content, with 5 being the most.
Yes, I believe that the 5s and the 4s should be pulled from the schools completely. And if they do want to keep them, have them labeled restricted area if the child is 18.
The spreadsheet on her website also marks whether books contain topics like LGBTQ issues and critical race theory, but she says that's not her focus.
But that's not a criteria we're looking for, and so we don't even have a record of what percentage is LGBTQ because we're focusing on sexually explicit books.
School districts in more than half of U.S. states have banned books since the middle of 2021, according to PEN America. In response to the rise in book bans nationwide, the Brooklyn Public Library in New York launched its Books Unbanned program, offering free library cards to people between 13 and 21 to access their entire collection no matter where they are. Chief Librarian Nick Higgins told me more than 6,000 students have applied, representing every state.
Young people who write to us are, seeing that books that reflect their own experiences, that reflect the lives and narratives of people that they care about the most, being targeted, and they feel threatened in their own communities.
What do you say to the person who comes into the library, points out a title, and says, this shouldn't be here? I don't want, in the case of a parent, my child having access to this type of book.
Talk to your child. Tell them that you don't want them to read it.
Jamie believes it's a vocal minority leading the charge to ban books in libraries and schools.
I believe in America today, despite all the noise and the polarization that goes on, I believe we have a deep thirst for meaningful conversation. We want to figure out what matters, what's important.
And he says there is no better place to do that than the library.
It's comforting, I guess, to be like, oh, no, this is for a reason.
Next on The Race, meet the 20-year-old who is leading the conversation around free speech online and whether social media companies should be liable for the things you see in their algorithm.